My fiancée cheated with my cousin, my corrupt uncle covered it up, and my family betrayed me. So I exposed them all. I've been putting this off for weeks, but I can't anymore. This needs to be said. Maybe it'll help someone else see the warning signs I ignored. Fair warning, this isn't a pretty story. I'm Jake, 34, and up until recently, I was engaged to the woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, Madison, 30. We'd been together for 5 years, engaged for 10 months. Facebook made us look like that perfect couple, vacations, candlelit dinners, gushy captions. But behind closed doors, I was the one putting in all the work. I planned our trips. I surprised her with little gifts. If she had a bad day, I'd drive across town just to get her favorite food. Hell, I even worked a second job just to afford the ridiculous engagement ring she hinted at. But the biggest thing? The '69 Mustang I rebuilt from scratch for her. Madison once mentioned she thought muscle cars were hot. So like a fool, I spent months restoring one, pouring my time, money, and effort into something I thought would make her happy. Meanwhile, Madison was all about appearances, making sure we looked good in public, posting about how lucky she was, gassing up our relationship online, while I handled the heavy lifting in reality. I convinced myself that's just how relationships worked. One person loves harder than the other. Then there's my cousin, Ryan, 33, recently divorced, thinks he's a damn movie star. He's got that charm that wins people over instantly. My uncle, his dad, bankrolls his entire existence. Ryan never had to work too hard. His dad handed him a job, paid his bills, covered his messes. He and I were close when we were kids. But as adults, I worked for my success while he coasted on handouts. Ryan and Madison hit it off the second they met at a family cookout 2 years ago. She laughed a little too much at his jokes, was always looking for reasons to be near him at family gatherings. One Thanksgiving, I couldn't find her for half an hour, only to walk into the kitchen and see her standing too close to Ryan while he played bartender. The signs were there, but I brushed them off. My parents host these monthly family dinners, boring, predictable, full of my dad's old war stories, and my mom hovering over everyone. But Madison was weirdly insistent that we go. Even when I didn't feel like it, she'd get upset if I suggested skipping. Should have been a red flag. Now, my uncle Victor, Ryan's dad, he's the puppet master of our family, owns a chain of luxury dealerships, funded my parents' home, even covered my college tuition. Whatever Uncle Victor says is gospel, and my parents, they obey without question. I hated it, but I kept my mouth shut to keep the peace. Then came the night it all unraveled. That month's family dinner was at my parents' house. My mom made her famous roast that everyone pretends to love. The usual nonsense was being discussed when I noticed Madison slipping away from the table. Once, twice, 3 times. The 4th time, my gut told me something wasn't right. I went looking for her. Checked the bathroom, empty. Front porch, nobody. Then I passed by my dad's home office. The door was cracked open just enough for me to see inside. And there they were. Madison perched on the desk, Ryan's hands all over her. My stomach dropped. This wasn't some drunken lapse in judgment. They were too comfortable, too familiar. This had been happening for a while. I shoved the door open so hard it slammed against the wall. They jumped apart, eyes wide. Ryan had the audacity to say, "It's not what it looks like." Not what it looks like. I saw red. I grabbed Ryan by the collar and threw him against a bookshelf. Trophies and books crashed the floor. My fists clenched so hard they ached. Madison started crying, stammering apologies. Classic cheater behavior. I didn't even look at her. My focus was on Ryan, my own cousin, someone I grew up with, someone who had been at my side my whole life. And this is how he repaid me. Then I heard footsteps. My parents, Uncle Victor, my sister, the entire damn family. My mom gasped at the mess. My dad looked confused. And then Victor stepped in, physically pulling me off Ryan like I was a kid throwing a tantrum. What the hell is going on? Victor barked. I was still breathing hard, every nerve in my body wired. Tell them. I spat at Ryan. Tell them what you were just doing with Madison. Silence. Then my mom, bless her oblivious heart, said, maybe they just had too much to drink. Too much to drink? Really? My dad tried a different tactic. Jake, maybe you misinterpreted. That was the moment I knew. I knew they weren't going to back me. Victor was already working damage control, and my parents? They'd take his lead. I grabbed my car keys and left. Didn't say a word to Madison. Didn't care how she got home. I just drove, trying to escape the betrayal that was suffocating me. Hours later, parked outside a random diner. I checked my phone. 32 messages from Madison, all the usual cheater lines. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Please come home so we can talk. Talk? About what? How many times she'd slept with Ryan? Whether there were others? I crashed at my buddy Travis' place that night, drinking until I couldn't think, but no amount of whiskey could erase the sight of them together. The next morning, I woke up to over 50 notifications. Madison, my mom, my dad, even Victor. Ignored them all. Then my sister, Erica, called. She's 3 years younger, but sharper than anyone in the family. She doesn't buy into Victor's empire nonsense. The second I picked up, she said, Holy SH*T, are you okay? Mom called me bawling, but wouldn't say why. Then cousin Drew filled me in. Is it true? I told her everything. She exhaled sharply. What a couple of F***king idiots. And just like that, for first time in hours, I felt like I wasn't alone. Waking up the morning after felt like coming out of a bad dream, except the nightmare was real. My phone was still blowing up with calls and messages, but I wasn't in the mood to deal with any of them. The betrayal wasn't just about Madison and Ryan anymore. It was about my entire family choosing to sweep it under the rug. I had grown up believing that blood meant loyalty, that family had your back. But as it turned out, that loyalty came with conditions. Mainly, don't upset Uncle Victor. I finally checked my texts. One from my mom stood out. Jake, please come to dinner tonight. We need to talk. I know you're upset, but family is family. We have to figure this out. I didn't reply. Instead, I threw on some clothes and decided to clear my head. A long drive felt like the only thing that could help me process the storm in my head. The Mustang roared to life, and I hit the highway, pushing the speed limit, as if I could outrun the anger boiling inside me. After an hour, I pulled into a quiet diner outside of town. Coffee and solitude sounded a hell of a lot better than another screaming match with my family. The place was nearly empty, save for an old couple in the corner and a waitress who looked like she had seen it all. She poured me a cup, took my order, and left me alone, exactly what I needed. Halfway through my coffee, my sister Erica called. Unlike the others, she was the only one I could still stand to hear from. I picked up. You holding up? She asked. Not really, I admitted, but at least I'm not at home getting fed a bunch of excuses. She sighed. Mom's in full damage control mode. Dad's just following her lead. And Uncle Victor? He's pissed you didn't just move on. I scoffed. Of course he is. He's used to everyone bending over backward for him. He's hosting a dinner tonight, she continued, trying to fix things. You're supposed to be there. Not happening. Figured as much, she said. Just be careful, Jake. Victor doesn't like losing control. I hung up, knowing she was right. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The dinner I didn't attend. That evening, I stayed far away from my parents' house. Instead, I drove out to the cliffs outside of town, where I used to go when I needed to clear my head. I sat on the hood of my Mustang, staring at the ocean, feeling the weight of everything pressing down on me. Erica texted me an hour later. You made the right call. It was a disaster. I called her immediately. What happened? She let out a humorless laugh. Well, Victor showed up like he was a damn king about to make a proclamation. Mom and Dad were practically bowing to him, apologizing for not getting through to you. Then he went on some long-winded speech about how family unity matters more than personal grievances. I clenched my jaw. Let me guess. He expected me to roll over and make nice with Ryan? Bingo. He actually said you were being childish for holding a grudge. I rubbed my temples. And what about Madison? She wasn't there, Erica said. But get this, Ryan showed up acting like nothing happened. Like he hadn't betrayed you. Like he still belonged there. He even had the nerve to make a joke about your car. That sent a fresh wave of anger coursing through me. Unbelievable. Oh, and then Victor suggested that maybe you should apologize to Ryan for making things uncomfortable. I actually laughed. A cold, humorless laugh. That man is delusional. No argument here. Erica said, anyway, I left early. Couldn't stomach the way Mom and Dad just nodded along. It's pathetic, Jake. I sighed. Yeah. Well, they've been under Victor's thumb for decades. Not sure that's ever going to change. Erica was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I think you should get out of here for a while. What do you mean? I mean take a trip. Clear your head. Do something for you instead of dealing with this mess. Because trust me, Victor isn't done with you yet. She was right. I could feel it in my bones. This wasn't over, and I wasn't backing down. A few days had passed since that pathetic excuse for a family intervention, and if I had any doubts about where I stood with them before, they were long gone now. They weren't just blind to what had happened. They had made a choice, and that choice wasn't me. Ryan? He was still parading around like nothing had happened. Madison? She had gone radio silent, which was probably for the best. And Victor? He was biding his time, figuring out his next move. I knew he wasn't the type to let things go. Erica came by my place that afternoon with a six-pack, and a look that told me she had news. I hope you weren't planning on a peaceful weekend, she said, setting the beer down on my coffee table. I raised an eyebrow. That bad? She plopped onto the couch and cracked open a bottle. Worse. Victor's furious. He thinks you're making the family look bad by dragging this out. I scoffed. Dragging it out? Like this is some minor disagreement over who forgot to bring dessert to Thanksgiving. Yeah. Well, you know how he operates. Image is everything. And since you're not falling in line, he's decided to make you the problem. I leaned back, rubbing my temples. What's his next move? He wants to freeze you out. Says if you won't act like family, then you don't get to be part of it. That includes any help from Mom and Dad. I laughed bitterly. That's rich. He's already got them in his pocket. Not just them, she said, looking uncomfortable. Aunt Linda, Uncle Ray, even some of our cousins. Everyone's distancing themselves from you. Of course they were. Victor held the purse strings, and in our family, that meant he held the power. I let out a slow breath. Good. Let them. Erica gave me a long, searching look. Are you sure? Because once you walk away, there's no coming back. I met her gaze. I don't want to come back. For years, I had played the role they wanted me to play. The grateful nephew, the one who went along with things because it was easier than fighting back. But I was done with that. I need a fresh start, I admitted. Away from all this. She nodded slowly. Then maybe you should listen to what I said before. Get out of here for a while. Clear your head. See what life looks like without this mess dragging you down. And for the first time, that actually sounded like a damn good idea. That night, I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every moment leading up to this disaster. I wasn't just losing Madison or Ryan. I was losing my entire family. And for what? Because I refused to pretend the betrayal didn't matter? Maybe Erica was right. Maybe I needed to go, not just for a weekend, but for real, a total reset. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I had savings. I had no real attachments left in this town. What was keeping me here? By the next morning, I had made up my mind. I grabbed my laptop, searched for rentals in a city far enough away to start fresh, and booked a one-way flight. No more family drama. No more toxic obligations. Just me, a new place, and a future I controlled. Before I left, I called Erica one last time. I'm doing it, I said. I'm leaving. There was silence on the other end. Then finally she said, Good. You deserve better. Packing was easier than I expected. I didn't have much, just a few suitcases, my laptop, and the Mustang. Most of the furniture belonged to Madison anyway, and I wasn't interested in keeping anything that reminded me of her. I sold what I could gave the rest away, and within 2 days, I was ready to go. On my last night in town, I took one final drive around the city. Every street, every landmark held memories, some good, most now tainted. I stopped at my parents' house, just to see it one last time. The lights were on, but I didn't go inside. What was the point? They had made their choice. I thought about leaving a note, but what would it even say? Hope Victor was worth it? Enjoy living under his thumb? No, words wouldn't change anything. So I drove off without looking back. A new beginning. The city I chose was nothing like the place I left behind. It was bigger, busier, and full of people who had no idea who I was. And that was exactly what I needed. I found a small apartment downtown, started a new job, and for the first time in years, I felt free. I kept in touch with Erica, of course. She was the only one who really understood why I had to leave. And surprisingly, after a few months, I started hearing from some of my cousins, the ones who had distanced themselves because of Victor. Maybe they were starting to see through his act. Maybe they just missed having someone in the family who actually stood up for themselves. Either way, I wasn't in a hurry to rebuild those bridges. I had a new life now, and for the first time, I wasn't living under anyone's rules but my own. The new city was supposed to be a fresh start, but ghosts from my past had a way of creeping in when I least expected them. I had settled into a quiet routine. Work, gym, late-night drives on my Mustang. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. No family drama. No expectations. No betrayals lurking around the corner. And yet, trouble had a way of finding me. It started with an email from an unknown sender. At first, I thought it was spam, but then I read the subject line. We need to talk. The message was short. Jake, I know you don't want to hear from me, but this is important. It's about Victor. Call me. No name. No details. Just a phone number. For a long time, I just stared at it. I had worked so hard to cut ties, to put that life behind me, and now, someone wanted to drag me back into it. I debated deleting it, but curiosity won. I dialed the number. The voice on the other end made my stomach twist. Jake, it's Ryan. I nearly hung up. The sheer audacity of this guy. After everything he had done. Why the hell are you calling me? Ryan exhaled heavily. Look, I know you hate me. I don't blame you. But this isn't about me. It's about Victor. I clenched my jaw. Not my problem. It is your problem, Ryan insisted. Because he's coming after you. That got my attention. What the hell are you talking about? He found out where you moved. He's been talking to some people. Let's just say he's not happy that you walked away. I leaned back in my chair, gripping the phone. Why do you care? Ryan was quiet for a moment. Because he's not just coming after you. He's turning on everyone. Even me? I laughed bitterly. So now that the golden boy is in trouble, you come running to me? I screwed up, okay? I know that. But Victor, he's dangerous when he feels like he's losing control. I thought you should know. There was an edge of desperation in his voice, something I had never heard from him before. And as much as I wanted to tell him to go to hell, I knew one thing about Victor. He never let loose ends walk away clean. I sighed. Meet me tomorrow. We talk once. That's it. Ryan agreed, and I hung up. Erica called me 10 minutes later. Ryan reached out to you, didn't he? I frowned. How did you know? Because he called me first. I told him to screw off, but I'm worried, Jake. Victor's been different lately. More paranoid. More ruthless. I rubbed my temple. Great. Just what I needed. Be careful, she warned. I don't trust Ryan, and I sure as hell don't trust Victor. Neither did I, but it looked like I didn't have a choice. The next day, I met Ryan at a rundown diner on the outskirts of the city. He looked rough, bags under his eyes, a nervous energy I wasn't used to seeing from him. You look like hell, I said as I slid into the booth. He let out a humorless chuckle. Yeah, well, life under Victor isn't as cushy as it used to be. I crossed my arms. Start talking. Ryan leaned in. Victor knows you're here. He has people watching. He thinks you're a threat because you left and didn't come crawling back. That's insane. Ryan nodded. Yeah, but when has that ever stopped him? I narrowed my eyes. What does he want? To make an example out of you. That hit me harder than I expected. Victor didn't just want to punish me. He wanted to use me as a warning to anyone else who thought about defying him. I clenched my fists. And what? You suddenly grew a conscience. Ryan shook his head. I just realized I'm next. He doesn't care about loyalty, only control. I was useful until I wasn't. For the first time in my life, I saw real fear in his eyes. And that scared me more than anything else. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I should have known meeting Ryan was a mistake. The moment I left that diner, a bad feeling settled in my gut, one I couldn't shake. The city had been my escape, my fresh start. But now, the past was clawing its way back in, and I wasn't sure I could outrun it this time. I drove home, taking a different route, checking my mirrors more often than usual. Maybe I was being paranoid, or maybe Ryan's warning had done its job. Either way, I wasn't taking chances. When I got back to my apartment, I double-checked the locks and poured myself a drink. My mind was racing. If Victor really had people watching me, what was his end game? I didn't have to wait long to find out. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated before answering. A voice I hadn't heard in months came through the line, calm but with an unmistakable edge. Jake. Victor. I didn't respond. What was there to say? I know you spoke to Ryan, he continued. I know you're still clinging to the idea that you can just walk away. I gripped the phone tighter. I already did. He chuckled low and cold. You think so? I stayed silent. I gave you everything, he said. Family, stability, and this is how you repay me. I let out a breath. You didn't give me anything. You controlled me. There's a difference. Victor sighed. Jake, I'm not a man who lets things go. You know that. You walking away makes me look weak. And weakness? That's something I can't afford. I stared out the window, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. What do you want? To remind you of where you belong. Before I could respond, the call ended. I cursed under my breath. That wasn't a conversation. That was a warning. The next morning, I woke up to find my car had been keyed. Deep, jagged scratches ran along the side of my Mustang, a message carved into paint. Leave or else. My blood boiled. I knew exactly who was behind it. And if I had any doubt, it was erased when I got to work and found out someone had called my boss, an anonymous tip about concerning behavior that nearly got me fired. Victor wasn't just sending a warning. He was turning the screws. I had two options, run again or fight back. For years, I had let Victor dictate how things went. But now, he wanted me scared, isolated, broken. And for the first time, I realized something he was afraid of me too, because I wasn't bending, because I wasn't playing by his rules anymore. I dialed Erica. We need to talk. Her voice was tense. What happened? I think it's time we hit back. For a long moment, she didn't say anything. Then finally she answered, Tell me what you need. That night, Erica came over. We sat in my apartment, mapping out our next steps. She had a folder in her hands, stuffed with papers. I've been digging, she said. Victor isn't as untouchable as he wants everyone to believe. I leaned forward. What do you have? She flipped open the folder. Financial records. Some very questionable transactions. Deals that don't add up. I studied the documents. If what Erica had found was legit, this could blow Victor's whole empire apart. Where did you get these? She smirked. A friend of mine works in real estate. Victor's been moving money through shell companies. It's all here. I let out a slow breath. This could ruin him. She nodded. That's the point. For the first time in months, I felt something other than anger. I felt control. Victor had pushed me for too long, thinking I'd always fold. But now, the tables were turning. He thought I was his problem. He had no idea what was coming. I didn't sleep that night. The weight of what we were about to do settled on my chest like a boulder, but there was no turning back now. Victor had made his move. Now it was time for me to make mine. Erica and I spent hours going over documents. Each shady deal, every fraudulent transaction, and all the evidence tying it back to Victor. The deeper we dug, the clearer the picture became. Victor wasn't just running a family empire. He was running a criminal operation. Money laundering, offshore accounts, even bribery. He was dirtier than I ever imagined. By morning, we had a plan. Erica had a contact, an investigative journalist named Mark Grayson, someone she trusted. We met him at a small coffee shop on the outskirts of the city. Mark was a no-nonsense kind of guy, sharp eyes that scanned every detail. We handed him the folder. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, flipping through the documents. "Positive," I said. "Victor's been untouchable for too long." Mark exhaled, shaking his head. "This is enough to start a firestorm. I'll run it, but once I do, there's no going back." "There's already no going back," Erica said firmly. Mark nodded. "Give me a few days." We left the coffee shop, knowing it was only a matter of time before the storm hit. But we weren't done yet. I made one last call to Ryan. "You better sit down," I told him. He sounded groggy, probably hungover. "Why?" "Because Victor's about to go down, and if you don't want to go down with him, you better start talking." There was silence, then a slow, nervous exhale. "Jake, what the hell did you do?" I smirked. "I did what you were too scared to do." Ryan knew what that meant, and for once, he didn't try to weasel his way out. "Where do we start?" he finally asked. 3 days later, the article dropped. Front-page news. Every headline screamed Victor's name. Fraud, corruption, organized crime. Investigations were launched. The feds were knocking on doors. And Victor? He went into hiding. Calls to his number went unanswered. His office was raided. His empire was crumbling, and there wasn't a damn thing he could do to stop it. My parents called me that night. My father's voice was tight, strained. "What did you do, Jake?" I didn't even flinch. "I did what you should have done years ago." My mother started crying. I wasn't sure if it was because she was ashamed or because she knew that, for the first time, Victor couldn't save them. I hung up. A week later, I stood on the balcony of my new apartment, overlooking a city where no one knew me, a place where I could finally breathe. Erica sat on the railing, sipping a beer. "You did it," she said. "You're free." I exhaled, staring at the skyline. "Yeah, I am. No more family chains. No more running. Just a future I built for myself." Victor had spent his life controlling people. But in the end, the only person he couldn't control was me.